Welcome to The Daily Dish with New York Times bestselling author Leanne Ely. Putting vibrancy back into your everyday life and feeding your heart, mind, body, and soul. Join us every day at 1 p.m. Eastern for Motivational Monday, Tuesday's Tip, Wise Woman's Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Food Fight Friday, and of course Q&A, where no question is off limits, and Soulful Saturday. Here is your host, Leanne Ely, and The Daily Dish.
Hello, lovelies. It's Soulful Saturday. Aren't you excited? I'm so glad you're here, and it's good to welcome June and Kathy and Flynn and Jackie. Hello. I'm glad you're here. Boy, we had our first Inner Circle meeting. Was that not fun? Oh, I'm so excited about it. Anyway, if you're interested in Inner Circle, it's a 12-week program. And at this point, hi, Petra. I'm glad to see you, Carla, Juanita, Carol, Doris. Yay. So good to have you all here. And Tanya's here. Tanya just joined Inner Circle. Hi, Denise. We just let her in. She got in by the hair of her chinny chin chin. Hi, Lucy. Good to see you. So anyway, we have a wait list now for Inner Circle. That does not mean you'll get in this next 12 weeks. That's closed down. But we may be starting up another one. If you're interested, get your name on the wait list. That's at savingdinner.com/circle. Just letting you know about that. Hello, Melissa. That was so fun. Yeah, we had a really good time. So you are missing out if you're not a part of this, but don't worry. We will probably going to offer it one more time, and we'll see how that all goes. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. Jama's here. Anyway, new quote of the week. Check it out. That which is measured improves. Listen, I want you to know this. We're starting our sprint on Monday. And when I say that we start, we do it. We have a very precise methodology. First thing in the morning, you get up, you get naked on Monday, and you do your weight and your measurements. That's important because that's your starting place. And you know why? That which is measured improves. It really does imprint and help us to get into it. Hi, Anna. Good to see you, Joanne. It helps us and helps our brains to understand that we are going to be improving it. It's measurable. Yeah, it's measurable goals. Exactly, Nancy. So let's do that, shall we? We're doing it on Monday. I want you all in, pinkies up on this. It is our sprint. 7 days to bring down the inflammation, to bring down maybe the scale numbers, maybe your tape measure numbers. Isn't it time to get cooled off and start feeling really good? Carla just did her sprint shopping. Joanne's all in. She's got her pinkies up. What about you? Do you have yours up? I love it. So Carol's here too. Hi, Carol. Remember, that which is measured improves. This is the motto, and it's in part of the sprint thing. It's what we do for the sprint. savingdinner.com/sprint if you have not signed up yet. It's free. You get everything you need there. Also, I must mention that if you buy a sprint kit because you want to do the Target Trifecta smoothies, which I highly recommend, that's the best way to do it. If you get that sprint kit, you're going to get 15% off. And you're also going to get our supplement of the week absolutely free. Yeah, you ready for that? Absolutely free, which is the appetite control kit. You get Leptofix and 4 bottles, folks. 4 bottles of Crave Crusher. You take 4 of these a day. You take 1 to 2 of these in the morning on an empty stomach. Helps to correct those hunger hormones, because the hunger hormones are the reason why you go rattling around in the cupboards around 2 o'clock in the afternoon looking for a snack. You don't want food. You just want mouth entertainment. Well, we got to get those cravings under control and get our appetite into control. And that's exactly what this is all about. Let me tell you something. That appetite control kit, $185 value, and you're going to get it free when you order your Hot Melt 30 kit, basic sprint kit, any of the sprint kits. So today's the second to last day. This will be gone at 12:01 a.m. Monday. You got it? Get on it. Speaking of which, when you order your supplements, you'll get our brand new supplement guide. Is it not cute? tells you exactly how to take your supplements. Now you'll notice there's no amounts here because that's on the bottle, but it tells you when and how to do it. This is really super helpful. Isn't it so cute? Yes, all in the new branding, which we love. What else do I have to tell you today? Do I have more things to tell you? I certainly do. Our books are available. And by the way, this is what we're going through in our inner circle. It's great. Hi, Susan. Look. You can get your books at savingdinner.com/crazy. This is the carousel of crazy with the accompanying, not accommodating. Well, I guess it is accommodating workbook, which is going to help you to really retain the information. You know, we read books and then we don't retain them. This will help a lot. savingdinner.com/crazy. And let's see, we have the hydration webinar on Monday. You might want to sign up for that. That's savingdinner.com/hydration or hydrate, I think. But you know why we do this? We do this to keep you keep going, because after the sprint, there's always something else. And that's exactly why we're doing all of that. I have the last thing to tell you about is the Q&A is Friday. Get your questions in by Thursday. Can I get you to do that? I got a bunch of late ones this last time. They're not going to get an answer till the next Friday. So send them in now. You can, open a tab and send in to support@savingdinner.com. That's your email, right? Email to support@savingdinner.com. Question for Leanne on Friday, right there in the subject line. I will answer it. I'm Melissa. Yeah, easy. Easy peasy. Also, our Jenny has a new little business that she's got going on. She's just launching it. It's called Crafting Reimagined. And I'm telling you, if anybody can make this an amazing business, it's our Jenny. I know she's going live for the first time this weekend sometime. She'll post a link here in the chat if you're interested on how you can see her. Isn't that so cool? If you're into crafty stuff, Jenny's going to take you to the next level. Aren't you, Jenny? That's how she rolls. All right. This is my list of things to do. Did I? Yes, I did. You ready? You ready to talk about this? Listen, we're talking about this whole week. We have been talking about turning mountains into molehills. You see how it's all turned, put it back. You see how I reverse engineered that? Because we've heard the saying, how many times have you heard the saying, turning molehills into mountains? And that is the product of over-worrying and hand-wringing and catastrophizing and just having everything, this adrenal-led crazy town thing. And we don't want to do that, We don't want to do that. You know what we want to do? I'm going to tell you exactly what we want to do. We want to be able to handle the things that come our way without freaking out and being paralyzed by indecision and being paralyzed by this inability to think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm overwhelmed. I'm freaking out. I can't do this. I'm on the struggle bus. When we do this, we're giving our brains directives and instructions. And that's the thing that's so really interesting, because it just changes everything when we start to understand that simply by a change of phrase and words and focus as well, we can start to change the way we handle the problems that come our way, right? We handle the problems that come our way. Hi there, Sue. So the point is that we have this overwroughtness. We do. All of us have at some point felt overwrought and just like, I don't even know what to do. I can't imagine how to get my way out of this whole thing. And we all have a tendency then to start blowing things out of proportion. Well, if I don't get this right, then my whole life is going to go down the toilet. If I don't get this right, if I can't fix this, then we start this exaggerated idea that our lives are just going to completely suck wind and that's it. We're done. Right. I understand. I've totally done it myself. I am the progeny of a catastrophizer. My mother was the queen of all of this. Now, lest you think she was not an awful mother. She was great, but everything had to be just so. And if she didn't have all of her little ducks in a row, well, she was just, and she handled everything. It was interesting because She would handle, like, if something was late. Oh, this is terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is awful. This is the worst. This is the end of the world. To something like, I'd come home and say, I was in a car accident. Oh my gosh. They were all handled the same way. They were all handled the same way. It was just explosive and catastrophizing, and nothing was handled with just an appropriate amount of, okay, so let's get this, let's talk about this and let's look for a solution. That's not how it was done at my house, because that's how, unfortunately, that was my mother's capacity to cope. That's exactly how she did it. And she would, blow up, and, if we didn't settle down, she'd slam the wooden spoon on the countertop. You kids settle down or you're going to get it, that kind of thing. But, it was just, she was a product of her generation and her life and everything else. And the coping mechanism part wasn't really put into place. These days, we talk about coping. We talk about, what can I do to really handle this? And in those days, they just did not. It was just, oh, well, that's just the way she is, right? Or they would make general sexist things. Well, women just blow their stacks. Well, women do this and women do that. You I'm sure heard a lot of that kind of stuff. But we have to look at this tendency to make molehills into mountains, and we have to look at it. Is this something that I habitually do? Is this how I am? And instead of saying I'm just wired like that, which basically means I am settling for a lesser version of myself, by the way, settling for a lesser version of myself. And is this what we want to do? Do we want to settle for a lesser version for ourselves? Or are we willing to look at what's going on and deal with it? That's the whole question. And that's what we've been doing all this week. And we also know too, that that's our low vibe monkey brain doing all this over the top catastrophizing. It is, because our amygdala is the fear center of our brain, and our amygdala will pipe up and say, hey, too risky, danger, 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 Will Robinson. You don't want to do this, right? And the interesting thing, though, is that when we do take control, and this is when we're using our prefrontal cortex, that's our big brain. That's the part that reasons and does all of our abstract thinking. This is the part that understands and can analyze. When we do all of that and we defer to this part of our brain instead, you know what happens? We have our amygdala take a seat, and our amygdala is immediately rewarded with a hit of dopamine to say, okay, it was okay to do that. We do this enough time, and we do kind of get into this, we can stop the overwroughtness and this over emoting and this, my whole life is out of control thing. I think it's really a brilliant way that our brains are made. And when we understand how they work, and when we understand there are things that we can do to put in place to stop this speeding train, that we do have that much more control on our lives, don't we? We have a lot more say so in the way that we handle things. And we can start to change our minds literally about the way we can handle things. So, I told you that, there's tactics galore, and we've been through them this week. So we talked about how to talk ourselves out of the intensity. And this week we talked about thought ladders. So if you want to tune into some of this stuff, I'm not going to go over it again, but thought ladders on how to take a red hot fireball of thought and bring it to the place of neutral, and then bring it to the goal thought that we want to have, and how that all works, just like climbing a ladder. And it really makes getting from here to here that much more attainable, because not all of us can leap. We need to take little baby steps up those little tiny ladders, right? We do. And if we need to do that, it's just perfectly fine. Not everybody changes on a dime. Not everybody can turn one thing off and then turn on another. But you can neutralize and cool down an inflammatory thought. You can Oh, yes, you can. And the thought ladder process will show you how. It's an amazing tactic. Everyone needs this in their toolbox. The other thing is, we need to also recognize that we are living in the present. We discussed this on, I think, Tuesday, recognizing how much time we have in our lives. And do we really want to spend that time focused on inflammatory problems and issues and what have you, and making things much bigger than they are? We have a dash to live. So we are born at such, I was born in 1958. I'm right now in the middle of the dash. That's my lifespan. How long is that lifespan going to be? I just can't answer that for you. All I know is that I'm going to give myself a fighting chance to have it be really long, and also to be as vibrant as possible. This is why we concentrate and talk about what we're fueling our lives with our food. This is why we talk about what we're thinking about. This is why we're getting into this whole idea of living on our adrenals and burning them out. That's what this whole idea is with over catastrophizing on stuff. We are burning ourselves out as well. Our bodies can't take it. It's not meant for that. Fight or flight is an adrenal response. And you get too much cortisol in your body, you're just like flooded, and it's just like, it's adrenaline. Your body cannot handle that all the time, day in, day out. You will burn out, guaranteed. Your adrenals are just going to say, that's it, I'm done. So you find yourself falling asleep at 4:00 in the morning, or at 4:00 in the afternoon, and then at 2 a.m. you're wide awake in bed. And what's happening there? Well, you've got burnt out adrenals, and they're all upside down. They don't know how to handle everything. So we've decided, we talked about this whole idea of inflammatory thinking and cooling down our thoughts and figuring out, ways to step down from it, of course, with the thought ladders and with this idea of wisdom, which was what we were talking about on Wednesday. If we are seekers of wisdom, we're going to stop seeking out this mountain, creating these huge mountains. So I want to put a fine point on this, and I don't have a whole lot for you there. I really want you, if you are this woman and you're going, oh my gosh, she's talking about me, and you are an over catastrophizer or over worrier and hand wringer, then go back and watch the rest of these all this week. We started on Monday talking about this because it is a big problem, and I've dealt with a lot of women, excuse me, who've had to deal with this. I was raised by a woman who did this. And I started out doing it myself until I recognized that my life was burning out. I believe that it had a lot to do with what my thyroid did. I had anxiety attacks and all kinds of stuff going on. And it was because I was holding all of this in instead of actually dealing with it. We can deal with it. So we're going to put a fine point on this whole thing. And I've got two very specific questions that you can start asking yourself, and then another tactic, which we've talked about in previous daily dishes, but I'm going to bring that one back out again. And the first thing is we need to ask, when we're going through this whole song and dance of hand-wringy, throwing up these gigantic mountains instead of allowing it to be a small thing, does this really matter? Is this issue worth all this creation of making mountains? Is it? Does it deserve to have this much of my attention? Do I need to be that focused on this problem? Is this worth all of this overwroughtness that I'm feeling right now? And I want to say this in a way, I hope that makes sense to you, that I don't want to be dismissive of anyone's problems, big or small. I'm not, everything is ultimately figure outable, isn't it? And everything is ultimately we're able to put into place. Nancy just said, vibrancy and a positive outlook help us reach that courage castle. And we talked about that in Full Bloom, the workshop that we did earlier this month. And that was all about getting off of the fear fence and into the courage castle. And there's a whole journey that's involved. But, the most important thing is that we are clouded by fear, and we are clouded by this idea that it's undoable. I'm on the struggle bus. What does that say? That says you're trapped, you're in this place of struggle, and therefore you're not going to be able to get off. I see the struggle bus as that bus in the movie Speed. Remember that movie where the bus is out of control and there's no brakes, they can't stop or it'll blow up. I can't remember, whatever it is, but that's what I see when I see the struggle bus in my mind's eye. So being on that bus, to me, is just not an option. I decline my invitation to that. And you have the ability to do that as well. Just, yeah, no, I don't think so. So I'm not dismissing or trivializing anyone's problems. I am saying, however, that it can be put into perspective and put into place with the appropriate size. Is this something that's completely insurmountable? I'm going to bet probably not. And it's something that is figure outable, and it is something that can be put into a proper perspective so that you can get to that place of saying, you know what? If I do this, this, and this, it's going to make it a whole lot better. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. Well, Liz, hello. It's been a long time. Hi, Jennifer and Pam. Yeah, my dad used to tell us to stop majoring in the minors. That's a good one. That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah, it's true, though. And we need to bring these things back down into place where they are a little bit more bite-sized and less elephant size. Can I handle this? Yes, I can. What can I do? What can I stop doing? What can I make better? We have to just keep asking, and we do pro-con lists. You write things down, hash it out with a friend, but you ask yourself, does this problem really matter? Does it really matter so much so that I need to create this giant mountain out of it? That's number one. Number two is, will it matter in a week? Will it matter in 5 years? Or will it pass? And will it make a lasting impact on me? Will it? We have to ask these questions because I think oftentimes you've heard the whole thing of jumping to conclusions, right? I'm not suggesting that anybody's jumping to conclusions, nor, again, am I being dismissive. What I am saying, though, is we find ourselves in the place of being held down by what we think is insurmountable and too big to handle. You've heard the saying before, eat an elephant one bite at a time. If it's something that is absolutely needs to be dealt with, that's all you can do. That's all any human being can do. We don't have the ability to travel into the future or into the past. We can't fix things or pretend or just put a little Band-Aid over this big gaping hole and say everything's fine. We watched a movie last night. It was called The Starling. I don't know if you've seen it. It was Melissa McCarthy and a couple of other actors, but this whole movie was about the star. Well, you'd have to watch the movie, but the way that things were dealt with in that movie is they started with this, I'm fine, everything's fine, how are you doing? I'm fine. And their behaviors were otherwise. And we do this too, because we just want to get through something without having to actually feel it and actually go through the motions and see what the heck is going on. Because that's oftentimes what it is. It's an avoidance tactic, is to just go all in and be focused on this huge thing and making it into something bigger than it really is, because then we don't have to look at it. Yeah, I'm talking to myself too here. So when we ask, will it matter in a week or a year? Will it pass? Or will it make a lasting impact on myself? Those are the questions that we need to ask. Answer them honestly. Will it? Will it? And I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things that will really help too, besides these two questions, is your why framework. You remember your why framework? Your why framework is say, okay, so I have this insurmountable problem that, let's just say that I can't stop eating chocolate. Why? Because when chocolate's in front of me, I can't stop until it's gone. Well, why? Because I'm addicted to chocolate. It makes me feel good. Why? And you keep going until you find yourself to the place of what the core of the situation really is. What's really there? It's not the chocolate, it's what's covered up with the chocolate. The chocolate is just all it is just putting a little teensy band-aid on that big old gaping hole, that need maybe that you have or something else. But we keep ourselves distracted with other things until we've got the guts to go in there and say, why is this a thing? What's going on here? Why? And keep digging until, aha, there it is. So we asked the why framework, but I'm going to take it a step deeper, especially if you're a habitual catastrophizer, because if you're habitually catastrophizing, can't see anything positive, pessimistic, and saying, yeah, well, I could if I only had, but I don't have that, so then I can't. This kind of thing where it's always talking yourself into the reason why you can't. And that is to go a step further with your why framework. And that means writing it down, getting out your journal and doing a little work. Why is this a thing? Why am I doing this? Why is this my tactic on dealing with things? What's underneath all of this? What am I not looking at is a question to ask yourself. And when you write it out and when you then say, okay, thought ladder time. So this is my thought, but this is the goal thought that I have. Then start to write out little steps, rungs of that ladder to get yourself to that goal thought. Because sometimes we can't, we can't see it until we put it out there. And when we write it down, we're starting to connect with what's going on with our brain. And I will tell you this, that when you say, like, for example, I hate my body, I'm ugly, and I'm fat. And then up here, I'm a beautiful, sexy beast, whatever. And you're saying, yeah, but I'm just not believing that. Okay, what can you believe in between this horrible thought that we need to dump and the next thoughts of I love and accept myself as I am, even with all this, these flaws? How about that? That's a neutral thought. I am learning to is another thing. I am open to is another thing that you can just keep moving your way up on your thought ladder to that gold thought. I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. But all of that really, really helps. And when you're writing it out and you're writing it out in your journal, you are connecting with your brain right away. You are connecting with your brain. Also, you speak about it too. Say something to your body clutter buddy and just say, this has been my thing. And watch the words you speak. Because again, you are going to be giving your brain a directive, an instruction. So if you say, I can never, then your brain is going to say, done. Watch your language. Remember that? I'll wash your mouth out with soap, young lady. Watch your language, young lady. This is your brain. Your brain is into anything that you tell it to do. It's just an open book and saying, your wish is my command. It is your genie. So start setting your brain up for looking for solution instead of being boggled down on the problem. I also would suggest that you do a voice memo of yourself. If you find yourself in this a lot, there's a voice memo capacity on your phone. Grab it and start saying those positive affirmations. Do your thought ladder or whatever, and listen to yourself speak. Seriously, listen to it. And even address yourself by name, because that's powerful. Your name is powerful, and your brain immediately goes, "Oh, she's talking to us. Let's hear what we have to say here." I do this to myself. I will look myself in the mirror, especially if I've been, can't quite get something together, can't quite get to that place that I want to. I'll look at myself in the mirror and I will say, Leanne, you have every capability and you can do this. You've done this before. You're smart. You can do it. You can put this together. It's time. Let's go. Because we connect with eye contact, we connect with hearing our name, and we connect with things that are spoken in present tense. We also connect with positivity. So I'm never going to, your brain hears, I'm going to. This is how our brains work. So use that power and take that to the next part. And by the way, I'm just going to do a shameful plug here. In Getting Off the Carousel of Crazy, in this book, you're going to find a ton of information about how to manipulate your brain. Because until you understand how your brain works and how you can manipulate it, and that you are the boss of your brain and you don't need to be bossed around by your amygdala telling you to fear and be depressed and you're in danger and it's hard and you can't do it, until you decide to take over and be in the driver's seat, you're going to allow your brain to make all the decisions for you. I know that sounds really weird, but we need to connect right up here in the prefrontal cortex instead of in the back of our brain, the monkey brain, in the fear center, and allowing that to go. And that's at the basis of all of this. It's fear driving it. And fear is learned helplessness as well as on one hand, and it's also on the other hand, something that everybody has. So how do we manage it? Well, we manage it by getting things into proper perspective. And then we also need to remind ourselves. We need reminders all the time. Little 3x5 cards. Put a reminder on your bathroom mirror. Put a reminder in your car. Put a reminder in your purse, in your wallet. If you've just been willy-nilly spending cash crazy, then take out your credit card, leave it at home, and put where your credit card is, put a little reminder, we're saving money, Leanne, or whatever. Put your name on it. Label things with your name, because that's a connection for your brain. And remember that worrying and catastrophizing will never lead to any kind of solution. They just make that molehill into a mountain, and it focuses your attention on the massiveness or the thought of massiveness. Maybe it's not that big, but it just focuses you on the problem and not the solution. You're never going to get an answer from a problem. A problem is never going to say, hey, I've got an idea. You have to say, okay, so what is the solution to this? How can I fix this? Or what can I do about this? I'm open to learning. I am open to hearing other ideas. I am open to stopping all of this catastrophizing and putting my energy toward the solution. And I will tell you this is something that I know from my own personal experience, that when you make a decision to do this, and when you put all of your energy from over here on the problem and put it onto the solution, and you start working your brain on that, creativity happens. Ideas pop into your head. The how-tos will show themselves. Somebody will say something and you go, that's it right there. That will do it. We all have this capacity. And to me, one of the best things and one of the most brilliant ways to live your life is understanding how your brain works so that you can be in charge, really in charge of what you want and not being led around by your nose. Because that's what happens when we over-catastrophize. Then we're overwhelmed and we're unwilling to get into the trenches and take care of business. We can do that when we start to recognize that we are definitely in charge. When we allow our prefrontal cortex to do the work instead of our monkey brain, night and day. Night and day. So there you go. We tied that one up, didn't we? But good. Next week, we are going to be talking about, you'll find out. I don't know yet. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, you're going to want to be a part of our sprint. We start on Monday. If you go to savingdinner.com/sprint, you're going to get a webinar there. You can watch that, and you're going to get the free guide that you can download and print it. And then you're going to get all of the information that you need. You're going to get an invitation into our fabulous Hot Melt Sprint group. Plus, you'll be able to buy a basic sprint kit if you like, and get the appetite control kit absolutely free. What do you think of that idea? You can't beat that. savingdinner.com/sprint. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you on Monday. We're off tomorrow. Bye. Peace.
Thanks for watching. You can find us on YouTube on the Saving Dinner channel or on the Saving Dinner Facebook page. Check back daily for new episodes, Monday to Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed the live show, you can watch the replay. Until next time, pinkies up.